Well, hello everybody. We're here with Jessica A. Caesar, actress, content creator, writer, producer. You may have seen her in some hit TV shows like Kenan, Grey's Anatomy, NCIS LA, and Atlanta. She has an amazing resume. Her newly released web series, Being Naomi Campbell, in which Jessica embodies a vivacious supermodel, Naomi Campbell, to learn how to be more blunt and honest with people, is out now. So let's welcome Jessica. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. So, first off, I want to start from the very beginning. What drew you to a career in entertainment?
Okay, so I remember when I was little, I always loved making people laugh and
Mhm.
like entertaining people. And like you would admire people on television. And growing up being a kid in the 90s, we had like Family Matters and
Mhm.
Full House and Step by Step. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'd love to be on a sitcom one day. It would have to be like the coolest thing ever. But I never thought like I would be an actress for real. And in high school, I would do science research where it was like a club where you did a science experiment for like 9 months. Then you presented it to like the county judges, and then I would go on to the state level. And even my senior year of high school, I went to like an international science
Oh,
fair in
wow.
Portland, Oregon. Yeah, that was my so science. I wouldn't consider myself a science nerd. I just loved it so much. And my very first job was working at NASA at the Space Center because I'm from Florida.
Mm.
So as a 16-year-old, we had like these apprentice and we worked in the summer, but they paid us well, like better than what we would have got at McDonald's. So
Yeah.
I did that 2 summers in a row. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go into environmental science. And then they're like, oh, but if you want to be a co-op and work for NASA where your job's guaranteed, you have to do engineering. So I was like, yeah, all right, I'll be an environmental engineer. But I but then in high school, I was doing cheerleading and I also did school plays. And I'm like, you know what? That's when I realized I really, really want to be an actress. But
Mm.
I'm gonna go to college, and to get out the house. And that way I'll be able to pursue my acting.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
got all these environmental engineering scholarships because I was black and I was a woman trying to be an engineer. So I was like bam, bam, bam. So I got all these scholarships and I went to school for free. I went to college for free, but
Nice.
I started studying at an acting studio in Orlando, and the teacher's name, her name was Yvonne Suhor, and she was an actress in LA. So she was like this real nice acting teacher. She taught us so much about on camera work and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, you know what? I really, really, really want to pursue like this career. That's what I knew. And she gave me the confidence. So I dropped out of college. My parents thought I was crazy, needed to see a shrink or something because it made no sense. But this was always like something that was in me and what I wanted to do. And yeah, and I dropped out of college. And I'm like, I'm moving to Los Angeles because that's where I need to be. And here I am now.
You have such a interesting trajectory, but I think it's informed you as an actress, obviously, right? So I noticed you talked about sitcoms that you grew up watching, and I see that you do a lot of comedy. So what's fun about being in these comedic projects?
What's fun about it is comedy is always it's always new, exciting, fresh. You never know what's gonna happen. And also it depends on who you're working with. So for example, Kenan, and it was cool working with him because I saw him. He was part of the people that I saw in the 90s as a kid watching shows. Like I loved all that and Kenan and Kel. And of course, he's just a staple on SNL. So when I got to work with him, they stick to the script, but also they like to improvise.
Mhm.
And sometimes when you improvise, it's a lot funnier, or you'll find bits that were not on the page. It just something happened in that moment, or you keep trying different things. So with comedy, it's so much fun because like it's not like when you do a procedural, it's very formulaic. It's like, okay, which way did he go? Beginning of the episode, dead bodies. Towards the end of the episode, you got to find out who did it, and it's just like the same thing. But with comedy, it's just always different. You could have dark comedy, you could have light comedy. With sitcoms and multicam, it's more about rhythms and beats and like finding like technique and all. Like it's a very structured and different. Actually doing a sitcom is like probably the hardest thing to do. They say if you can do comedy you can do drama, but working in a multicam situation, because the reason why they have the studio audience there is because they're trying to see which jokes land and which ones don't. So the writers are right there changing. You've been rehearsing all week, they've changed the script a dozen times and the studio audience gets there and they're still changing lines and they just tell you the line and you just do a different take on it. If everyone gets, if it gets a big laugh, it stays in the show. If not, they keep trying things. So that's what makes comedy so much fun and exciting because it's so unexpected. You never know what you're gonna get. but it's very enjoyable. And also you're bringing joy and humor and fun for the cast involved and the crew, and also for people watching in the audience or at home as well.
Yes, that's awesome. And knowing that you have this impressive film and TV career, you also decided to step behind the scenes and create your own web series, which you've done previously. But what made you transition from just being a performer to being a creator?
Honestly, it was giving myself more control. Like as an actor, like I was never the type of person that's like, I'm gonna wait to get that phone call, you booked it. I'm gonna wait for someone to give me an opportunity. I say create those opportunities for yourself. And Issa Rae and Quinta Brunson are examples of those people who did it. Like, would they be where they are right now if they said, you know what, I'm just gonna do it myself? And that's what that honestly, that's what made me want to do it, to follow in their footsteps. But you can create anything just with an idea and even an imagination, and that just makes it so much fun. And why I wanted to step behind the scenes, because I can give myself a voice that I want to if someone else hasn't given me the opportunity. I can create up other opportunities for other people. I can tell stories that I want that haven't been told because I've stepped behind the lens and put all the work and everything and the action into it.
That's awesome. And I see that you're no stranger to web series. This isn't your first rodeo. I saw that you also appeared in some Funny or Die projects, which is really
Mhm.
awesome. I personally love Funny or Die, so that's really cool to be talking to someone who's been in those projects. And even making your own, you made Meme Queens, which I also looked at and saw it had like so many views and it was so funny. I was like, I want
Thank
to
you.
be in these projects. Like now I want to do it too. Well, what made you want to create this series right now?
Okay, so I had been Meeting Queens has been a while since I had produced another project, and when you're producing independently, it's hard because you may not have a lot of money. Your budget is very modest. So at first I was like, I want to do a dramedy, and I was just mapping out ideas, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do a sketch show because I never did it before, and also it challenges myself as a performer and also as like a creator and a writer, because now I gotta, with the budget I have, I gotta find like locations that I can afford to shoot at. And based on my locations, I was like, okay, I can rent out this European house with like stuff that looks like it's from like the 18th century. So then I can find the costumes and I'll write a sketch for that. And with Naomi Campbell, she is so hilarious. Maybe I don't know if she knows she's funny, but she's not trying to be funny. It's just that she's so serious, and it's so funny and comedic. And I over the years I always laugh. Like I would see like interviews she would do, or like, and I remember she was testifying in some case, and she's in the courtroom and she's telling them, this is a waste of my time, I really don't want to be here. Like, and who's not laughing? Like, how are you guys all keeping a straight face? So like people said that I resemble her, and she was just so funny. And I was like, you know, I'm gonna write a sketch about what it's like to be Naomi Campbell, because she's fabulous and she's great and she's so funny. I don't know if she knows she's as funny as she is, but I was like, that was what my idea for it. And then I called it Caesar Special because I was like, everyone makes fun of my last name because of like Caesar salad or like Julius Caesar. So I was like, how can I incorporate food or something? And I was stuck on a title. I was like, okay, this is the title that's gonna land, and every episode is gonna be serving up something, serving up red button topics, serving up politics, serving up Naomi Campbell. Like I'll just, yeah. So that's where it like came from. And with all the characters that I did, it was characters that were either in my wheelhouse, I already knew how to do them, or I was just gonna keep working at it, and I wanted to showcase it in the show because I wanted to challenge myself. And I always loved Tina Turner for the longest time. And I always had a Tina wig and the What's Love Got to Do with It jacket. So I was like, I'm gonna do a sketch with Tina from the 80s. That way I can, I mean, she was great for her age, but I was like, okay, the closest I can get to Tina at what era? So I made this like fictional show, this MTV show where I play a different character, and then I play Tina Turner, and then I'm interviewing Tina, and it's me doing a split screen. And then she passes away last week, and it was like a punch to the stomach because she was so iconic, and talk about someone who went through so much in their life, but she triumphed and prevailed. and was always smiling, and she even admits like, okay, she had a rough life in the beginning, but she was living a great life afterwards, and she inspires many people with her music and love and just her personality. I don't know anyone who did not love Tina Turner. So I'm glad that, and I don't know if something told me like just write a sketch playing Tina Turner, but I don't know. I was really sad last week, but then I was also happy and glad that I was able to pay respect to her in that way, not knowing that, we were gonna lose an icon in 2023. So that was cool also.
Yeah, and I think with your series, your everything is so smart and clever and tasteful that when we heard about the news and if someone were to go back and watch it, they'd be like, "Oh, this was actually a really good homage." And it was funny, we're poking fun, but it's still in a way honoring, those who came before us in the industry. So I thought it was really, really smart. I want to get into the production process. I know it's very low budget, but I love learning about what you did to get from development all the way to the final day of production.
Oh, thank you. So first thing I did was I went through like location. Like someone gave me the advice, a filmmaker gave me the advice. He's like, always write for location. Like don't ever, some people are like, I'm gonna write this, show about going to space. And so it's like, but where are you gonna find all these things? How do you have the money to like shoot all these things? So I saw so many places, like I went to churches where I could film at. I went to like that house that I found, which it's funny because the woman who owned the house, she rents it out for productions to film in. But she lives there. I was like, oh, I just thought this was just for shooting. She's like, oh no, I live here. I was like, where did you find? I would be so scared to. I was like, it's amazing, but I'm like, how? What? Why? So when I found that, I was like, okay, I have to write a sketch for this. This is just too good. I
Yeah.
have to do something here. Um, and I there's a studio in Burbank. I actually filmed on two different sound stages. So there was
Okay.
one in Burbank with like so many. So the church sketch was shot there. The bar scene in the Being Naomi Campbell sketch was shot there. There was just so many different stages, and so basically you could be like boom, 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 and move to the next. So once I saw that, and then another stage where like I shot all the therapy stuff, and so once I figured out, okay, I can afford these places, I found all my locations, then I'm like, okay, now I got to write all the sketches. Then after I wrote all the sketches, I'm like, okay, how many actors am I going to use? Because that's another financial thing. So I settled on the actors that I had. I was like, okay, I could work with 5 actors and cast them in each sketch or what role I want them to play. And then with budget, I'm like, okay, I gotta shoot this in 5 days. So
Mhm.
I never shoot things in order. Um, I again cross border and shoot things by location, so that
Mhm.
helps because then I could do Naomi and the therapy session and like the church sketch like all in one day. I could do this, that, and the other all in one day. So it definitely can be done. I think some people get discouraged when they try to develop a project and do a project, especially by themselves, if they don't have a backing or funding from a studio or like a network. But you just have to be smart about it and also be determined and tell yourself that I'm going to see it through and I'm going to make it happen. Otherwise, you're just going to sit on an idea and not see it come through. So yeah, and it's a lot of work. I will admit it's a lot of work, but at the end, once it's said and done, and once you cross the finish line, it feels very rewarding afterwards.
Yeah. I heard a lot of different first of all, you obviously had to go to multiple locations to shoot. I wonder which sketch was the most fun to make because they all sound great, but I feel like you might be partial to
Oh,
one.
what? Oh my gosh, man, because I remember because everyone had its special moments, and so the church sketch was a lot of fun, and we did a lot of improvising and laugh. It was hard to keep a straight face sometimes because some of the things that would come out, and it is true. It is sad is that at church, we go there and everyone's like, praise God, we're nice people, but there's a lot of stuff and a lot of drama that comes into play. So we were laughing because like I remember being like someone make commenting on the way that I dressed when I
Mhm.
came to church and like so all the little jokes and the things we were throwing in and out, that was like a lot of fun. And after that, I think the one which was a lot of fun was the millennial news sketch, the one poking fun at when you did on social media and you put all your drama out there. Because I played three different characters, and initially I was gonna do two, and then there was an issue with scheduling. I'm like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna play. I was gonna just do all three of them. I was like, let's see how this goes. And that was a lot of fun because I started out being the guy Juno with my goatee and my toupee and the spearman scum, and then I took the Rasta wig off, and then I became like the reporter, and then I changed, and then I. So yeah, that was probably, I would say that was probably the most fun because it was the most like wild and like what's gonna happen. Let's see, and in it, I'm glad how it turned out.
Yeah, I definitely love when you play multiple people. I'm a big fan of sketch comedy, so when I see someone playing multiple characters and they're able to embody them so well, it just makes it a better viewing experience, you know, because sketch is hard. So I know, I'm sure, and
I
obviously, yeah.
know, yeah. And I've heard like the process of SNL, how literally the show is made. I mean, they're working all week, and maybe like once they figure out of the 100 sketches they went through that week, they're like, these are the ones on Friday, and Saturday they just go. And it's like that's fascinating. It's very, very, yeah. And even if there's like someone that was popular that week and they have to impersonate them by Saturday night, it's like, yeah, it's very, 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 very hard.
For sure. And I know you have roots in theater too, going all the way back to when you were in Florida. Do you ever see yourself returning back to theater anytime soon?
Good question. So I when I did Hamlet, which was like I was yawning the whole time in between my when I had to go back in stage on stage and go back off. So I was like, you know, I got to stick to musicals and musicals only because it's lively and it's fun. And I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't say no, but I do have, in theater is a lot of work. It's a huge commitment. We're so spoiled in TV and film because if we mess up, it's like you don't apologize, you just like stop and then just go back into it, or the editor can fix it in post. But when it comes to theater, it's you got to cover for your partner. That emotion needs to be there, and some people love that feeling, and but I don't know, like I enjoy watching theater, but I don't know if I would do another play again. But I wouldn't rule it out. I guess if it was like a, yeah, because there's so many, like especially on Broadway, so that there's so many like plays coming out, and it's like a musicals, and I was like, oh, but I don't know, I don't see myself on a stage anytime soon. But I would never say never that I wouldn't do theater again. But that's where a lot of us get our start at because that's what we have access to, like when you're in high school, and yeah,
That's
and drama club and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know since you created this series, I feel like there's another one possibly coming up. Do you see any future for not just this project, but any other ones?
Oh, absolutely. Like I just want to always be creating things. Like especially with comedy, because I had a conversation with someone that said that comedy was dying, and I'm like, no, 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 comedy's not dying. If anything, we need comedy now more than ever. With everything happening in the world, it provides a temporary escape from, the things you're dealing with, or like I just want to forget about work. I want to forget about these wars, and all that stuff. So let me just turn on the TV and laugh and just feel great for 30 minutes or an hour. And I won't say comedy's dying. It's just that comedy needs to change because we're living in different times. So watching and living color in the 90s was great. It was awesome at that time. But a lot of those sketches in this day and age wouldn't fly or wouldn't be acceptable because it's not funny to poke fun at this group or these people in the 90s than it is now. So you just have to evolve and change, but it's still, you can still create a, really tasteful like bits and sketches and shows, just be respectful and let's all laugh together and not like laugh at like someone. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna keep continuing to do it because I just love it and it's so much fun. And also it just doesn't keep like I just don't want to do drama. And also I don't want to just do comedy. I always want to be action, like
Yeah.
drama, comedy, like whatever soap. I just want to do it all.
That's awesome. And so for this series, what do you hope viewers take away from it? And do you have any advice for anyone who wants to become a multi-hyphenate?
Oh, I thank you. So, what I expect people to get from watching this show is to laugh. Laugh so hard that their stomachs hurt, or laugh so hard till they might pee their pants. I don't know, that may be pushing it. But I just want everyone to laugh and just have a good time. That's what I want them to get from it, and also to inspire other women and just to don't be afraid to set your heart out. If you have your heart set on something, don't be afraid to like do it. Don't People will naysay, people will try to discourage you. Maybe they're just hating on you. I don't know. But to be a multi-hyphenate, just go into it for the right reasons. Like there has to be a reason. You say, I want to do it because I want to create vehicles for other female leads. So in order to make that happen, I need to be the one that's writing and or directing and producing a project for more women, like Shonda Rhimes has done so beautifully. Or I want something to be said in my art. So if you don't see that on TV, then go ahead and create it and write it. And if you have to direct it too, like I did, because you couldn't find a director, like do it. So I want to inspire people to have faith and just know that everything will happen. Just jump and leap, and you'll land on your feet.
That's awesome. That's such perfect advice, especially now. I know there's a lot of turmoil in the industry, so it's really
Oh
awesome
yeah,
to
oh yeah.
hear.
Oh, absolutely. And that's another reason too. It's like don't like with those stories that who I'm talking about. I don't have to say his name, but yeah, don't feel like you have to be put in that position or you have to do those things to be successful. Oh no. Like not looking at the way he looked, do it yourself. Like
Yeah.
I'd rather do it myself. It may take twice as long, but yeah, you'll have your integrity, and on top of that, like no one wants to be pressured or violated or anything like that. Not I don't want to get too dark or too deep, but yeah, definitely do it yourself. Do it yourself. Like no, don't make a man pressure you or make you feel like you have to do things in order to make it.
That is incredible advice. That's the perfect advice to end on, too. Thank you so much, Jessica. Everybody, the web series will be linked down below in the description. I hope everyone enjoys. It's hilarious. If you need just any type of laugh, you're going to love it.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so lovely talking to you.
Yes, you too.